This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports. With your distinguished hosts, Adam.
What was your reaction when you got notified that you were going to be a Hall of Famer? How does that sound to you? Coach O'Leary, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm in a number of inducted into a number of Hall of Fame.
And Mike.
I don't know if you know this, but I won the 5K race that we did a couple weeks ago.
Now, here are the guys.
You have found us. We are the Sons of UCF. This is 159 of the episodes of this particular program. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike 1, back for yet another week. Mike, my friend, how are you?
Splendidly. I am doing splendidly. I am excited for this week. We got some big news. The bowl game that we've all been waiting for. The matchup that we all wanted is finally happening. So I am pumped up for this show and ready to discuss.
There is a lot to get into. Before we give you all the good stuff, you have to do us some favors. First off, make sure you're following all of us on the social media stuff. I'm at Sons UCF. Mike is at UCF Mike 1. Trace, who does the live show with us, is at SignPez. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram. You can also go to our website. That's twonightsmedia.com. If you go to any of those places and they have an option to leave a review, feel free to drop a little 5 stars. The holidays, a little holiday cheer never hurt anybody. Mike and I and Trace always appreciate all of that stuff, Mike. But today's show, action-packed. We're going to go cow of the week at the end, as we always do. We got an announcement on the winner of the Pick'em and maybe a new Pick'em challenge. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for that. We give you 1 minute of basketball talk because that's pretty much how long it took us to beat Bethune. And so that's how much time we devoted to that tonight. We have our observations, including more top 5 lists. Addison somehow worked her way back in the show, even though there was no game. She had a top 5 list. Don't know how she did it, Mike. And off the top of the show here, there's a lot of news and notes. Mike just died. He's going to be okay. A lot of news and notes. And no one better to break it down than Jason Beede from Orlando Sentinel. He joins us here in just a few minutes off the top, Mike, for news and notes, namely UCF versus Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl. The matchup, like you said, we've all been waiting for.
This is it. This is what we've been talking about for the last few years, really, and probably even longer than that. And a team that we've only played twice in our history. It's been, 15 years since the last time we played them. Things have changed dramatically since then. We have a deal to play these guys 3 times in the future, and now we laugh because some of those games were going to take place when we were in our 50s. But now here we are. Just in a couple of weeks, we get to play them right away. So I'm very happy about this game. You listen to the show. You asked me if I could tell Timo who I wanted to play and where I wanted to play. This was the matchup, right? Gasparilla Bowl against the Gators. It's finally happening.
Well, luckily, I can confirm we are not 50, so that's good news. And this game is taking place, Mike. But a lot going on around UCF. Obviously, the Dillon Gabriel stuff is still whatever. We don't know who's playing in the bowl game. Obviously, transfer portal stuff. Are we going there for a quarterback? Who's out there? What about recruiting, Mike? How's that going? Do we have any big names that we want to do from a recruiting standpoint? How was Gus's, year overall? What is this matchup all about? There's a lot of headline stuff. You and I are not qualified for it, but I know who is. Right after this, let's bring Jason Beede in from the Orlando Sentinel. If you guys don't follow Jason, he's doing some great work. He's been around the UCF program for a long time. He's doing some great stuff with coverage for UCF. So Jason Beede of the Orlando Sentinel now. All right, we could probably talk to you, Jason, for, probably like 3 hours. I feel like there's a ton of stuff going on with UCF. But let's just start here. The latest, quote-unquote, news. News, obviously now official. UCF will play the Florida Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl on the 23rd, 7 p.m., or 7:30 p.m., rather. Given the conspiracy theory a lot of UCF fans have had about the Gators maybe ducking UCF and not wanting to play, how surprised were you that this matchup was actually put together and actually got approved by all those different parties?
I was actually pretty surprised. I'm not – it's hard because I'm not surprised that it actually came together, but I'm surprised that it's just happening. Like, I don't know how to explain the difference between that. But Like, I know that sounds contradicting, but I think the fact that it's actually happening is like, wow, that's actually a really good bowl opportunity. And I think it's a huge game. But I think at the end of the day, if you're the Florida Gators, yes, you're 6-6. Yes, you just fired your head coach, but you can't back out of a game like that. Or I know they tried, and then maybe they dragged their feet a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you're the Gasparilla Bowl, you're going to have the opportunity to. I'm sure this will be a sellout, and it's probably one of the more popular non-New Year's Six bowl games. At least that's one of the more popular ones that if I weren't a UCF reporter, it would be the one I'd be tuning into. And that's what bowl season should be all about. It should be these regional matchups that don't happen too often, but they should. And it's still like, wow, that's actually happening, because even I'm still surprised that the actual future football series is happening. I mean, I told someone earlier today that this bowl game is going to be like an appetizer for the 2024 game. So I think it's great for both schools, and I'm happy it's happening.
Well, assess this matchup. Obviously, UCF, I know Gus has not met the media yet, so there's still no clear understanding who's playing. Is Big Cat going to play? Is Isaiah Bowser going to play? Is Jalen going to play? So we still don't have any definitive word there. Obviously, we know UCF's been banged up throughout the year. The Gators, same thing. Anthony Richardson's been banged up. No clue if he's going to play. So assess this matchup as best you can right now, not really knowing who's going to be on the field. Who do you give the edge to so far, just looking at what you know?
It's really interesting, when you look at the social media reaction. It's both fan bases are kind of like, really, I have to play this team during this year. I think if you're UCF, you're probably wishing that 8-4. I think for me personally is a little deceiving because you look at their 4 losses. You lose to the 2 best teams, or 2 of the best teams. You didn't play Houston, but 2 of the best teams in the American, and you lose a close one on the road to Louisville, and maybe Navy is the worst loss right there. But, you look at who they beat, it's the bottom of the American. That's not taking away what they were able to accomplish with all of those injuries, first-year coaching staff. I mean, you guys know what the season has been like. But, at the same time, Florida 6-6. I mean, UCF fans, some of the things I've read on social media, they got to be a little bit more confident about UCF's chances. I think the line opened up at a touchdown. Maybe it's up to 8 points. FCS Sanford scored 52 points on this team in Gainesville. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think this game, I mean, it's not going to be – I would be really surprised if Florida, won by 3 or 4 touchdowns. They barely beat FSU to get to this bowl eligibility game. There's a reason Dan Mullen was fired. If Anthony Richardson's able to play, I think he is dealing with a meniscus injury or knee injury of some sort. I don't know his availability, but if he's not able to play, obviously he's one of the best quarterbacks, one of the most electric quarterbacks on the field. He's obviously has still a bit to develop as a quarterback, but from a talent perspective, he's the best quarterback of Emory Jones and that quarterback room. So if he's not able to play, I mean, that gives UCF a huge advantage right away, even though at times their secondary has struggled, and we've seen the issues back and forth with the tackling. You mentioned Big Cat Bryant. I think instantly, if he's able to play, that's a huge plus for them, just having a big guy like that, SEC caliber player. Obviously losing Bryson Armstrong, even though it was for the season, it was only a handful of regular season games. I think in a bowl game like this, you're going to really miss him at linebacker, and it would have been great to see Kalia Davis out there too. So it's even though it is a 6-6 Florida team, and Dan Mullen's no longer, on that staff, I think they obviously Billy Napier is not going to be coaching this game, and it's going to be a bunch of leftover guys who may or may not be staying in Gainesville. The defense is going to have their hands full, and then offensively, I'm going to be really curious to see what 3-4 weeks off does for a true freshman Mikey Keene, and what he's able to do watching film from his 8 or 9 starts that he was able to make. I don't want to say that Dillon Gabriel was a distraction, but now that the team knows, this is finally no longer part of the team, maybe that is able to ease him a little bit. Who knows exactly what their relationship was like or whatnot. But, what I'm trying to say is there's a clear answer there. We know what happened there. Maybe that changes things from a game plan perspective for Mikey. And I did see you mentioned Isaiah Bowser, and obviously just because you see something on social media does not mean a final decision has been made. But UCF posted some photos on Monday of their first bowl practice, and Isaiah was in one of those photos specifically, which to me would indicate he's probably going to give it a go. And it's remarkable, even though he's put up, he leads the team with 7 rushing touchdowns, and he's been their number one back when he's able to play. He's missed 4 or 5 full games, let alone some of the halves he's missed as well. So I think even though maybe if he had played every game, maybe he would opt out of this game, depending on if he's coming back or not. I don't know what that decision will be. But for a guy like that who's missed that much time this season because of the injuries, 3 weeks off for Isaiah Bowser and a chance to play an SEC team like the Florida Gators in a bowl game is massive for his draft stock if he decides to go that route. So, I think offensively, again, this is not going to be a team that can go into a boat race and put up a bunch of points unless you're playing Temple, and Florida's better than that. It's going to come down to the defense again. If the defense can keep him in the game, and really if Emory Jones makes a couple mistakes, and if they're not going to have Anthony Richardson, that gives UCF a big chance for sure.
UCF fans have been very vocal the last 4 years, and ourselves included. We've been doing a lot of chirping, especially towards the Gators. Now, this year, obviously, both teams are not as strong as they've been in the past. Who do you think more pressure is on? Is the pressure on UCF to back up the talk we've been doing the last couple of years, or is there pressure more on Florida to not let little brother come in and beat them up in front of everybody?
That's a really good question. I don't know how much pressure there is on Florida, because if they lose the game, they can say, well, we're 6-6. We don't even have, our head coach isn't even in there yet. This loss doesn't mean much. But I think for UCF to lose this game, Florida Gator fans can turn around and say, even without our head coach, even in a crappy year, even if Anthony Richardson doesn't play, we're still going to be able to beat up on old little UCF down in Orlando. So I think, from a recruiting standpoint, from a, bragging rights standpoint, obviously there's still 3 games on future schedules for these teams. I think this is a great warm-up game if you even want to go that way. For UCF, regardless, I understand it's 6-6 Florida and it's their down year. And yeah, I mentioned Samford put up 52 points against this team. I still think for UCF, and they haven't played since 2006, to play us and potentially beat us, I know UCF fans love to say, oh, we're part of the Big Four. Well, for your traditional old Florida fan, they're probably going to say, well, wait, what Big Four? It's just the Big Three. So from their perspective, I think for UCF to get a win like that, it would be huge. And I know the UCF Twitter mafia and social media would just, Florida fans would never hear the end of it. So, to answer your question, who has more pressure on it, I think at the end of the day, it would be a really, really big win for UCF, even though it is a down year for Florida.
The fan turnout looks like it's going to be fantastic. I know from the UCF side, do you anticipate more UCF fans than Florida fans at this game?
I think so. I know UCF tweeted out they expanded their ticket allotment, which to me is a show of confidence that, maybe they don't have all their tickets sold yet in the current allotment, but that's what they're projecting. That's just, speculation on my part based on the fact that they were able to put out more tickets for their ticket allotment, because obviously the way that works is if you buy through the school, it helps UCF in future bowl games and yada, 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 and money talks. So I think just early on, it's for Florida, it's one of those games where, this is their second game at Raymond James Stadium this season. They played USF there earlier. They played FAU earlier in the year. So and they play obviously FSU to get to bowl eligibility. So this is their 4th in-state school. I think for them, it's an opportunity to really be the state champions if they win this game, because they've played a bunch of Florida teams. But in terms of a fan turnout, I think UCF fans are probably a little bit more excited for this opportunity. I'm not saying if Florida wins, you won't hear it from Gator fans, just based on how these fan bases work. But I do feel like, just if you were to ask me straight up, I think it would be more UCF fans at this game.
All right, let's talk about this season for UCF, right? So maybe we should have seen this coming from the jump, Jason, when we had a 3.5-hour rain delay in the first game of the Gus Malzahn era. But I count no fewer than 4 guys lost with season-ending ACL injuries. We know, obviously, a bunch of players, QB1, RB1, wide receiver 1, all went out. We lost basically 2 of our 4 linebackers, either through transfer or injury. So it's been a roller coaster year, a true freshman quarterback, yet Gus cobbles together an 8-4 season. You talked about some of the schedules, and obviously they did not look good against Cincinnati, did not look good against SMU, but they cobble 8 wins together. So give me an overall grade in your opinion on the first year of the Gus Malzahn era. If you had to give him a letter grade, what would you give him?
I would say a B+. You got to remember the Louisville loss. Dillon Gabriel didn't get hurt until the actual final play of the game. So yes, they lost that game, and they also lost a number of players, but Dillon Gabriel was in that game, and that's a loss, on Dillon, because he was the one that made the start and unfortunately had that pick 6 at the end. So, you toss that up as a loss. At Cincinnati, I think even if you did have everyone healthy, probably Cincinnati finds a way to win that game. At SMU, maybe UCF gets that win. I think for me, the Navy loss, to go up in the fourth quarter up multiple touchdowns, that was, I understand it was Mikey Keene's first start, and he didn't have Matt Lee for a good portion, no Jalen Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. But, some of those coaching decisions at the end there, the following week against ECU, we saw Mikey Keene lead the team down the field and win the game. And he had an opportunity to do that at Navy. It's a series that I won't forget when looking back on the season. He had completed 4 or 5 passes in a row. They were, across the 30 or across the 20-yard line. And out of nowhere, he decided to put Joey Gatewood in, and it completely blew up in his face, Gus Malzahn's face. And that to me was just, not trusting your freshman quarterback. And the next week, he did trust Mikey, and Mikey won the game for UCF over East Carolina. So, that Navy loss really, I actually was really impressed with the fact that, I know they lost to Cincinnati 2 weeks later, but the fact that they weren't able to, I guess, bend over and fold up the rest of the season, and actually find a way to win some games and go 5-1 in the final half stretch of the year is really impressive. But from a coaching perspective, I think Travis Williams did a really good job with the defense. And I know they're still a very average defense, but you talk about going from 123rd to being in the 60s, middle of the pack is a huge jump, considering the majority of the players. I know they have Big Cat, and some of those, the transfers they were able to land made a big difference. Bryson Armstrong as well. They were impact players, impact guys. But still, the majority of the defense weren't those guys and his recruits by any means. So, they worked with what they got, and they continued to lose and more players here and there. To get 8 wins, I actually think, if they had everyone healthy, you probably don't lose to Navy, like I mentioned. You don't lose to SMU probably. To still, maybe 2 losses at Louisville, at Cincinnati. To be 2 losses away from, if everyone is healthy, this is the type of season you have without everyone. To get 8 wins and only 4 losses is really impressive to me. So, but because some of those decisions, and at times I don't want to say indecision, but the timing of when putting Joey Gatewood in, I'm glad by the end of the year we got to see Parker Navarro take advantage of a couple things. Finding the end zone 3 times in the last 3 games. Some coaching decisions at times, I don't know. I thought they were questionable at best. So that's why I'm going with a B+.
Well, let's dive into Gus a little bit further. You mentioned it, and it's true. Gus did not recruit outside of the transfers. Gus did not recruit a single guy in this team. And look, some people look at this and say there's 10 kids in the portal. Obviously, anytime there's a coaching change, there's hurt feelings. Some guys who are playing aren't playing anymore. Some guys who maybe had a certain spot don't have that spot. You're around these guys a bunch. How would you assess Gus's connection with the team and just his overall standing with the group? I know we've been through this coaching turnover before, unfortunately. How would you assess how Gus is connected with this group?
I will say, him breaking his leg and dealing with that and being kind of separated from the team at times, I think that definitely did have an impact. I was thinking about it the other day when they announced the Gasparilla Bowl. I guess based on the timing of things, he might be able to be back on the sidelines, truly back on the sidelines and walking around, depending on how his leg is healing. So that would help for the bowl game a ton. But I think that definitely did have a little bit of an impact. I don't want to say there's any locker room issues by any means. I think these players love playing for Gus. I mean, thankfully, shout out to ESPN Plus for the football show that was about UCF, Our Time. I think we could see a little bit, behind the scenes of Gus Malzahn's first season at UCF. I think they're passionate about it. And, look, I think no coaching change, no locker room's ever going to be perfect after a coaching change. Of course, when a coach comes in and brings his own guys immediately, maybe that makes things a little awkward for some other players who aren't playing because of that. But I haven't seen or heard any issues that are, extremely specific to Gus Malzahn and UCF. I mean, any issues, any players entering the portal, obviously the Dillon Gabriel situation was unique on its own. But outside of that, some of these guys that have entered the portal, I think no matter who the head coach is, some of these kids just want to play somewhere and maybe even move closer to home. That's going to happen. It's just, what program isn't losing kids at the portal this time of the year? So I do think they love playing for Gus and have embraced him, and I think they really respect him.
Well, he does get a chance to bring in his first recruiting class very soon. We know some of the big names that are already committed. You expect them all to actually sign on early signing day, and are there any surprises that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think UCF has this class. I mean, it's a great class right now. It's top 40 in the country. I think 37 or 38 according to 24/7 Sports. Nakai Martinez is huge. The Henderson twins. I'm just really happy that Gus Malzahn, not only, I told someone earlier as well about this recruiting class, whenever a coach gets hired, they always say the right things at the intro press conference. We're going to win national championships here and conference championships, and we're going to recruit, the line he always used was recruit like our hair's on fire. And they always say that, right? I mean, if you hired a coach who didn't say those things, you probably made the wrong hire. But the fact that he kept to his word and really focused, you look at the class right now, 11 of the 15 guys are from Florida. The other 3 are from Georgia, 1 from Texas. Of those 11 from Florida, I think 7 of them play high school football within 80 miles of UCF's campus. And that's how you have to recruit at UCF if you want to have success, in my opinion. And not only are they recruiting locally, but they're getting some really big names. Like, I think some UCF fans are taking this class currently where it stands. If signing day was tomorrow, this would be a really good class. And they're still going to potentially add a couple pieces. I know they had 4-star defensive lineman Curtis Perry over the weekend in for an official visit. I don't know if they're going to sign him yet. I know Alabama's involved. Maybe some of the fallout from Mario Cristobal going to Oregon. There was a kid who had his top 3, UCF, Oregon, I believe Alabama. Yep. TJ Dudley, he was a talented linebacker that committed to Oregon. Coaching change in Miami. Obviously, Mario goes down there. That impacts UCF. Coaching change at Florida with Billy Napier. That impacts UCF. So, they got to keep recruiting their own guys and potentially go after some guys at other schools that, maybe some decommits from other schools in the state. And, I know they've hosted a couple of offensive line, either transfers or junior college guys. That I don't know exactly what Sam Jackson and some of those older veteran offensive linemen are going to do, whether they come back for the extra COVID year or not. But Gus Malzahn has to prepare a way that, the offensive line is a priority. Wide receiver, I think, is a priority. You look at this year, outside of Brandon Johnson and Ryan O'Keefe, there wasn't a whole lot of talent there. I know some guys had some injuries, but when Quadri Jones has to switch for depth purposes, that's a priority. And obviously quarterback, nothing against Nike Keene, but I wouldn't be surprised for them to go after a transfer quarterback in the portal, maybe a veteran guy, maybe a young guy, who knows? Gus Malzahn is going to use the portal. He's shown that to us, that he's not afraid to go out and get a quarterback in the portal if he has the connections that can recruit a kid. So there's positions of needs, and they know that. But if you were to hand Gus, you go back to February and hand Gus 4 or 5 kids from the Central Florida area and said, hey, if you get these guys, they're going to be successful. Jakari Henderson, Damari Henderson, Nakai Martinez, Leighton Nelson from Boone. Some of these kids, Quan Lee out of Gainesville, I think he's a great get. KT Thompson out of Lakeland. I just love, and Nakai Martinez, I mentioned from the top, I just love the fact that he actually kept to his word and is recruiting top talent from the Central Florida area.
Yeah, you touched on the quarterbacks. We have a quarterback coming in with Castellanos. We're also losing Dillon Gabriel to the portal. You give Bo Nix as the top candidate to come in just because of his familiarity with Gus, or is there somebody else?
I don't know. As Bo Nix even in the portal yet? I don't think he is yet. I think he he has a decision to make. So, if you're Gus Malzahn, I don't think you're waiting around for Bo Nix to enter the portal. No disrespect to Bo. I don't know what he's going to decide. But if you look at the portal options, I don't have the list in front of me, but I wrote about a couple names that have some experience, some more experience than others. I know FSU's quarterback, one of their quarterbacks, the Purdy kid, entered the portal. Adrian Martinez entered the portal. I tweeted last week, of course, UCF fans took it out of hand. I tweeted, and I made it very clear, I was not reporting anything. There's a quarterback from Hawaii. Obviously, G.J. Kinney was the offensive coordinator at Hawaii last year. There's a quarterback from Hawaii who has some experience. He's a dual threat quarterback, maybe not the most accurate thrower, but if you're a dual threat quarterback with a couple years and you have 1 year left, and that's what kind of UCF needs right now, maybe they go after him. I don't know. The connection is there. That's all I was trying to say on social media. But there's a bunch of options, and I haven't specifically heard them, if they're ready to host anyone yet for a visit or anything like that. But I would be pretty surprised if we went through and got all the way to spring and there wasn't a new quarterback in the room.
Well, Michael Penix Jr. from Indiana also into the portal.
Too. There's a lot of options. Yeah. I mean, there really is. There's some top. I mean, look, Spencer Rattler. I don't know if they're going to get him, but if they didn't make a phone call, it is what it is. So.
Well, let me ask you this: out of a 100-point scale of these three options, so the 2022 starting quarterback, the quarterback who takes the first snap, what percentage do you think that quarterback is currently at another college? What percentage do you think that quarterback is currently in high school? And what percentage do you think that quarterback is currently on UCF's roster out of a 100% scale?
So you're saying for the first game?
Yeah, for the first game. Who's our starter next year?
Man, for the first game, that's a tough one. I would say. So you're saying like I have to divvy it up?
Divvy up 100.
You're asking
divvy up 100.
Divvy up 100 points.
Yep.
Okay. You're not saying for individual. Okay, I see what you're saying. I would say 50% chance that the current quarterback is at UCF, and then divvy it up 25-25. How about that?
Okay. So
I understand Thomas Castellanos is Gus Malzahn's future quarterback. But, just because he's a true freshman, I mean, I got to see him in person in the spring. I like his film. I love him a lot. FSU wanted him as a running back. But again, Mikey Keene has 8 or 9 starts under his belt. He's going to play against the bowl game. I think the bowl performance or whatever he's able to do could have a big impact on their decision in getting a transfer quarterback in terms of the quality. Like, what do you need from the portal? Do you need a starter, or do you need an experienced guy who can, maybe help teach Mikey and kind of, help teach him, I guess, and learn the ropes of being a college quarterback. But if you need a starting quarterback, if Mikey doesn't perform well against the Gators or whatever, maybe you go after a starting quarterback, and that percentage adjusts a little bit. But at the same time, I think Mikey improved every game. I think a lot of UCF fans are trying to compare him to freshman Mackenzie Milton and freshman Dillon Gabriel. And, Mackenzie Milton was not something special until his second year. So yeah. I'm excited to see how he improves and develops as a quarterback entering year 2. So just because he's the current starter, I would give him the best odds. But again, we don't even know who the quarterback in the transfer portal potentially could be.
Well, let's talk about the portal for a second. If you can maybe educate us, because there's a lot of speculation about portal, what it means, what it is. So a couple questions for you. A, obviously when you're a high school recruit, you can take, I think it's 5 official visits. Is the same true of the portal? And then B, is there a max on how many players UCF can take? Is there a number that I guess UCF can go up to if they want to actually dip in the portal for players?
Well, I'll answer that second question. The interesting thing about the NCAA, I believe they passed a rule, and the transfer portal specifically, they passed a rule where if you lose, so many players from the portal, I don't know, let's just say UCF, you mentioned 10 earlier. I believe they're able to, from my understanding, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I don't think I am, you're able to add or kind of replace up to 7 of those guys, and it won't impact your 25 or your 25 spots. If you want to sign 25 high school players, you lose 10 for the portal. You can replace 7 and it won't impact that scholarship counter or whatever. It's a little confusing exactly how that works. But that to me is really interesting. I think your first question was about the visits, and that's something I hadn't even thought about. I would guess it's probably the same in terms of like official visits and unofficial visits. You can take as many unofficials as you want. I feel like for visitors, I know Dillon Gabriel took an official visit or a visit to Ole Miss this past weekend. I mean, unless the kid has absolutely never been there, I feel like 9 times out of 10, when you're going after someone in the portal, it's because you have a past relationship with them, unless they're like, just such a talented kid and they're interested in your school. Obviously, the reason Dillon is interested in Ole Miss is because of Jeff Lebby and that connection. So even though he's never been to Ole Miss or their campus, he wanted to check it out. So I don't know exactly how important a visit is when going after transfers, because majority of the time you're recruiting, even Gus will admit this, you're kind of almost recruiting for the future, because, Gus is going to go after some guys. I think Curtis Perry is a perfect example. I don't know if UCF's going to get him, but if they don't, he goes to, let's say, Alabama in 2 years, he's not happy. Hey, come on down to Orlando. You can play for Gus Malzahn in the Big 12. So that's kind of the mindset you have to have with recruiting nowadays, where you're also, creating relationships for the future. So, going back to your original question, I don't know exactly even how important some visits are in terms of transfers, I guess. And then in terms of your second question, I just remembered your second question there. How many transfers can you take? I mean, I don't think there's like a limit in terms of like you're only allowed 10, because obviously UCF took 15 last year, and not all those guys are on scholarship. Not all those guys have multiple years. Some of them had 1 year. Some of them walked on the team. I think they obviously have an honest relationship with some of these guys and say, hey, we really want you, but we don't have a scholarship for you. And some of these kids just want to play or even go to UCF, play for Gus and go to UCF. And, some of these more talented guys, hey, we have a scholarship, you have a couple of years of eligibility left. I'm sure they're honest conversations they're having with some of these transfers.
We've seen a couple times kids enter the transfer portal and then get out. It's happened at UCF. Quadri Jones did it. Brandon Mahan did it in the basketball side. Is there any chance Dillon Gabriel goes and he's doing his visits and, he wants to go with Levy, but now Levy finds a different job somewhere else, and maybe he doesn't have the options he thought he has. Do you think he's burned all his bridges here at UCF? Any chance he comes back, or that ship has sailed?
Well, I personally believe that ship has sailed. I also think it's interesting. Someone texted me earlier today and said, man, Dillon seems like he's kind of in a tough pickle here because Tennessee still has their quarterback. I don't know exactly if Jeff Levy's going to go to Oklahoma. I believe he's the favorite for the offensive coordinator. Let's just say he takes the job tomorrow, and Josh Heupel also doesn't need a quarterback. In terms of, I just mentioned how important relationships are. I don't really know where else Dillon has those connections, maybe somewhere on the West Coast. But, I think the important thing to remember is all of this would be happening because Lincoln Riley took the USC job. Mm-hmm. No one could have predicted that. So if you had told Dillon, and I think, his father told the Orlando Sentinel that this had been on his mind for 6 or 7 weeks, potentially transferring. I don't think he woke up the Saturday after the season and said, I'm going to enter the portal. So I think that changes, the chance of him potentially coming back. Let's say, he had played the last couple of games of the season and Gus Malzahn said, hey, we want you back. And he just said, I'm going to evaluate my situation. Maybe that's a little bit of a different, but because of the fact that it had been on his mind, I don't think it was a secret to anyone in the locker room at least for the last few weeks of the season. There are some things out there about, him being a selfish guy potentially, but, all focused on NIL stuff and whatnot. I don't think the fan base would want him back, but he's a really talented quarterback. I don't think it would even potentially happen. I would be completely shocked. I think Dillon would rather go to some random West Coast school than even be welcomed back at UCF. I'm not saying that he has bad blood or anything like that. I think Mikey Keene put up a nice message after he entered the portal, and some of the other UCF quarterbacks did and whatnot. I would not expect that to happen at all.
I know you're a journalist and you have your integrity now, and you're not supposed to look at things as a fan, but you are a UCF fan. And if you're like me, would you chuckle a little bit if he ended up going somewhere to like Ole Miss, and then a couple weeks later Levy would leave to go somewhere else? You think that would be a little funny or no?
No, I don't. And actually, I'm not. I mean, I went to UCF. I attended UCF. But I didn't grow up in Orlando. I didn't grow up watching a whole lot of college sports. So obviously I want UCF to perform well. It makes my coverage more fun. But at the end of the day, I think, Jeff Lebby's telling Dillon Gabriel, hey, I'm going to take this job, or hey, I'm not going to take this job. I don't know what he's going to tell him, but they're honest with each other, and any transfer and any coach should be, because that would be pretty crappy of him. I think when you go back to this past January, Josh Heupel leaving after recruiting Brandon Johnson, at the same time, at that situation, I don't think Josh Heupel knew he was going to be the coach of Tennessee. I don't think anyone expected him to be that when he was recruiting a guy like Brandon Johnson to come to Orlando, and then he left, ironically, back to Tennessee. But I know a lot of UCF fans would find that humorous if that were to happen. But I'd be pretty surprised if Jeff Lebby wouldn't tell Dillon Gabriel, hey, I'm taking a job here, or wherever he's going potentially.
All right, one last Dillon question. We want to move off this one because he doesn't play here anymore. But so we understand the stated why, right? Like you said, Dillon's father gave some good quotes to Matt Mearshell, your colleague at the Orlando Sentinel, about kind of the why. There's some speculation that Dillon's mom was on a message board saying some things about going to P5 schools and putting up stats and whatnot. So I guess we understand the why. The when, to your point, it seems like this kind of happened maybe midway during the season, and it just wasn't kind of the best kept secret, if you will, in some respects. But do you buy that Dillon has to go to another school to be able to improve his draft stock? Do you think that quote unquote reason makes sense? Because we've seen quarterbacks get drafted out of smaller schools before. Obviously, Dillon had the numbers. He definitely had the pedigree in some respects. Do you buy that that's the chief reason for Dillon to leave UCF, is he has to go someplace to put his name out there?
No, I don't. Obviously, it's a shame we never got to see what Mackenzie Milton would have done, and where he would have potentially been drafted. But, even going back to Blake Bortles and his draft stock and other quarterbacks over the years from other smaller schools, I say small school, respectfully being group of five, obviously. Look, he's not going to grow 4 inches next year. I think his height and his size, that just that makes him, he has to do a lot more with his arm, right? I mean, you look at Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and not all those quarterbacks look like them, right? So from a talent standpoint, he has an incredible arm. He's a really accurate passer, and I don't buy that, because if you're doing the right things at UCF, you're playing in conference championships, you're playing in New Year's Six bowls, maybe crashing the college football playoff. To say that, I mean, it's not the early 2000s. The social media is out there, the internet's out there. Who knows if he hadn't gotten hurt, what the rest of the season would have looked like for him. But I there's a lot of stuff out there about his reasons and whatnot. I personally believe, and I know some fans are going to say, oh, that's a bunch of crap too. I actually don't think he was a great fit for Gus Malzahn's system. Sure. You look at his past quarterbacks, he does not look like Cam Newton to me. And that's nothing bad against Dillon Gabriel. I think he's just a different type of quarterback for a different type of coaching offensive system. So I buy that more than, to say that little old UCF wouldn't get you drafted. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You look at Liberty and their quarterback, Malik Willis. I know he was having a pretty good season. I don't know exactly how he ended up, but, he's going to get potentially drafted in the later rounds or picked up somewhere, and he's playing at Liberty. So if you're talented, and this isn't a shot at Dillon, I'm not saying he's not talented, but if you're talented and you're putting up big numbers and playing in the biggest stages or the smallest stages, they're going to find you. And that's at the end of the day, you can find hundreds of stories of quarterbacks or other positions at other schools where maybe you're not playing at LSU or Ole Miss or Alabama or wherever. I don't buy that at all. So.
All right, let's talk about a better Hawaiian quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, who announced that he was going to play in the Hula Bowl, which is be at UCF, which should be a fantastic event. Hopefully a lot of fans come out of that. Should be a packed house to see Mackenzie one more time at the bounce house. But that signals the end of his college career, of course, which we all kind of chronicled. We know kind of the ups and downs. The next natural progression most people think for Mackenzie is to get into coaching. So do you give any possible shot for Mackenzie to join UCF in any sort of coaching capacity anytime in the next couple of years?
I'll say this first: the natural progression. I actually disagree with that. I think him playing in the Hula Bowl kind of indicates that maybe this is his last chance to play at the Bounce House, last college football game. But I think for him to play in the Hula Bowl, an all-star game in front of NFL scouts and other professional scouts, I don't know what he wants to do post-college, but I think for him to play in the game, who knows what he can do. And I'm not saying he's going to get drafted by any means, but maybe he goes and signs with the practice squad and goes out there, or who knows what happens. But I think obviously, he will be a coach one day. He said that even before he was injured, and obviously after he was injured, he's kind of been that player coach. Yeah, it would if he comes to Gus Malzahn and said, "Coach, I want to come back to UCF right away and help you." It would be ridiculous and idiotic for Gus Malzahn to say no to that. And that's not just because you have to say yes because he's Mackenzie Milton, but because he's a great football mind. He has a heck of a football IQ. Maybe there's an argument could be made that he shouldn't come home right away. You look at Josh Heupel and what happened in Oklahoma, and you would hate to see a relationship like that between Mackenzie Milton and UCF in the future, that being one of a busted one. So he's going to have a lot of options, whether it's at FSU, Nebraska. I'm sure has already offered him a spot. I'm sure. Yeah. He's going to have a ton of options, and I would love to see him at UCF, and I hope that happens selfishly.
We know you have a little bit of a relationship with Mikenzie. Have you talked to him at all since he said he's coming back to play in the Hula Bowl? Everybody's speculating on whether he's going to wear a UCF helmet. Do you know the answer to this yet or no?
I don't know the answer. I reached out on Monday. He said he would get back to me. I reached out on Monday to talk with him. Hopefully I get to talk to him. I did speak with him recently, but that was before the Hula Bowl announcement. So, I would love to see a double helmet. FSU one side, UCF the other. I think that'd be really cool. It's easy to do. Just put a couple stickers on there. I hope UCF fans come out, and should be a really special day when it happens in January.
So you've been working at the Orlando Sentinel now this season. You get to work a lot with Mike Bianchi. He is somebody that's very good at ruffling the feathers. Have you gotten a class from him on how to ruffle feathers? And has he taught you when to make your heel turn? Are you going to do that anytime soon?
Yeah, it's always interesting, from an outsider's perspective to be inside suddenly with the mind of Mike Bianchi. I don't think UCF fans truly and fully appreciate him as much as they should. Not just because I work with him. I believe that before I was working with him. To have him as a national columnist, and he can go on the Paul Feinbaum show and fight for UCF, and yes, he says some things at times that really make you question what his interests are, but at the same time, at the end of the day, he's going to go to battle for UCF, and not a lot of college programs at this level, or even some of the top programs, can say that they're going to have a columnist like Mike Bianchi stand up and fight for UCF. But he's really fun to work with. I've learned a lot. We have a UCF Football Now. We did 14 straight weeks of a show. Some episodes were 10 minutes, some were closer to 20 minutes. It was just really great camaraderie. Our chemistry grew, and I'm looking forward to continuing working with him.
All right, Jason, we'll get you out here in these last two questions. So first, staff turnover. You mentioned obviously all the coaching carousel stuff, Mario Cristobal, Lincoln Riley, Brent Venables, right. The list goes on. And we do know that Scott Carr, former UCF deputy AD, is now at FIU. Do you have any inkling? Do you expect any staff turnover? I know Tim Harris, who was formerly at FIU, is now on the UCF staff. Do you expect any staff turnover on Gus Malzahn's coaching staff with all the coaching stuff going around?
He would be the only one that I would expect. I didn't know who FIU was going to hire. I said congrats to Scott Carr. I messaged with him. That's awesome. I'm really happy he got that job. Obviously, it's a tough one for him. But at the end of the day, to be an AD at a school like that is great. I saw a report from ESPN post Scott Carr hire that he's still interested in Tim Harris Jr. I don't know if Tim wants that yet. I haven't heard anything specifically on that, but I think if there's an offer to be made, I would absolutely. If I'm FIU, I think it would be a great hire if that hire is made potentially. I think there was some speculation on Texas Tech and potentially GJ Kinney. That didn't happen. I think there's obviously in the future, Travis Williams is going to be a head coach one day, and some of these other guys potentially elsewhere. GJ Kinney probably too. But Tim Harris Jr. would be the only one that potentially could leave if FIU makes a run at him. It's going to be hard for him to say no to that.
All right, last one for you. It's kind of bittersweet, but Cincinnati cracks the ceiling. They get into the college football playoff, first Group of 5 team. Obviously, a lot of UCF fans are out there, making sure that people remember that we paved the way, and that obviously, perhaps we should have opportunities before. What are your thoughts on Cincinnati getting into the playoff, and how do you think, or what do you think the UCF, history of the 2017-2018 team has to do with Cincinnati getting the playoff now?
Well, if you read the rules and you believe and you are very naive, you believe that Cincinnati's season is not judged based on the past. It's one game at a time. It's one, I guess the people on the committee believe that if they want to lie to themselves. But to say UCF seasons and what Danny White did and what the 2017 team did in 2018. If you don't think that didn't have an impact on what Cincinnati's doing now, you're a non-serious college football fan, because you look at where UCF began the 2018 season in the polls compared to where Cincinnati, who by the way lost in the Peach Bowl to Georgia, where they began the preseason polls in the first college football playoff poll. That does not happen without UCF. But
we lost Scott Frost. That was the whole reason, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's awesome for UCF. I think there's a lot of UCF fans who are salty about it, and I disagree. I think Cincinnati's obviously going to the Big 12. I think if you're the Big 12, you're really happy. You have two Big 12 teams currently in New Year's Six, Cincinnati in the college football playoffs, so 3 total. And I think still, though, even Cincinnati being the school to do it, I think that's still, if you're UCF, that's still good for you. It still impacts you and your future Big 12 conference mate for sure.
Well, plus we get a big fat check, right? I mean, we get the American Conference gets a check from Cincinnati going there, right?
Someone asked me about that. I have to look into that. Someone asked me about that on Twitter. I have to look into that for sure and double check.
All right, well, we'll hold you to that answer at some point, Jason. But listen, if you're not following Jason Beede at the Orlando Sentinel, I know you guys have deals going on all the time to get in there. Do you want to quickly share with folks how they can follow you and how they can get involved with your coverage at the Orlando Sentinel?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow me on Twitter at @TheRealBeede. I think we have a great deal going on right now at theorlandosentinel.com. You can not only read my stories, but all of our stories, digital access, 6 months for $1. I mean, you can't really beat that. 6 months for $1 of digital coverage at the Orlando Sentinel. Not just my work, but there's a lot of great journalism at the Orlando Sentinel. But if you love UCF, some of our best coverage, OrlandoSentinel.com, $1 for 6 months, at @TheRealBeede on Twitter. So thank you guys for having me on.
Well, if you need the coverage, guys, UCF Mike has a bunch of dollars he can help you guys out. So if you want to join, just hit UCF Mike on Twitter. Jason, you're the best, man. We appreciate you taking some time, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn. You're listening to the Future of UCF podcasting with Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Boom.
All right, there was no game this week, Mike, but there's still plenty of stuff happening around UCF. That doesn't stop you and I from crafting our world-famous UCF observations. We have another hot list or two of UCF observations, buddy. Why don't you kick us off? I know you've got a lot of notes. You had a busy weekend. You were just consuming all things UCF. What's your observations look like?
I watched some football on Saturday, and the first game I was watching was the Baylor-Oklahoma State game. And hearing Sean McDonough while watching Baylor on my TV on Saturday brought back some pretty good memories.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Fiesta Bowl from 2013. Just hearing his voice with Baylor on the field, all I could picture was Blake Bortles running into the end zone with a big smile on his face.
That was a good memory, Mike. Just when I think it wasn't possible, Mike, Mackenzie Milton officially announced he'll play at the Hula Bowl on January 15th, which should be a good event for all UCF fans. Then he went and changed his Twitter profile pic back to him in a UCF jersey and totally redeemed himself. Welcome back, KZ.
Oh, man, it's going to be so cool to see him come out with a UCF helmet, right? That's what we need.
Are you going to that thing? I mean, the tickets aren't so expensive.
No.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't be the prices. It's just, all these trips I've been making to Orlando. And now we got the bold trip to come up. And,
Yeah.
I'm only allowed a certain amount of passes per year.
Okay, I don't want to get you in trouble.
It's possible. It's not been ruled out yet.
All right, $35 in the cabana.
Oklahoma State coming up just short of the goal line. Reminded me of Super Bowl 34. Rams, Titans. Mike Jones. Tackles Kevin Dyson on the 1 yard line. 1 yard short, man.
Yeah.
Missed it by that much.
That's right.
As Maxwell Smart would say. What an ending to that game, huh? Did you see that?
All I know is that whoever's in that college football committee room needs to send Baylor a thank you card, because if Oklahoma State gets that in, I think we got some controversy. I think they're going to move Cincinnati out, so that made things a lot easier for that committee. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, no, that Oklahoma State was getting in.
Mike, it looks like Manny Diaz got fired 2 weeks ago, but everybody forgot to tell him. And unfortunately, he found out that news today. Manny Diaz no longer the Hurricanes head coach. Poor guy.
Is he going back to Temple? They need a head coach.
He might. Maybe he just acts like he never left. Just walks in, like, "Hey guys, I'm here. You guys need me? When do we start?"
Speaking of the game I was talking about, did you see this guy, Dave Aranda, the head coach of Baylor?
I did.
This guy is a robot.
Mm-hmm.
He has no emotions. The most exciting play and finish to a game I've seen in a long time. He doesn't even blink on the sidelines. I don't know where they found this guy. He is not human.
Football coach. That's what they do, Mike. I did learn something interesting today. The DG, the brand, Mike, is still alive and well at UCF. Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm. Darren Green actually has a apparel line. I did not know that.
All right. Does he sell air fresheners and fanny packs?
He had a nice little sleeveless warm-up shirt. He had a hoodie. He had some shorts. DG, the brand, still alive and well.
So stuff you would actually want to buy.
I don't know that I would buy it personally, but it definitely wasn't fanny packs. There was no butterflies involved. Probably more traditional workout style gear is how I'd frame it up.
Are you scared to buy any of these player things now?
Yes. You know what? I saw Mikenzie released his Hula Bowl t-shirt, and for a split second, I was like, you know what? That's actually not so bad. But then I was just like, I can't do it. I think he's done with his eligibility, so he can't really burn me again. But yeah, it definitely gave me a hot second to think about. Now, to be fair, I never bought any DG the brand stuff, so I'm clean there. But it definitely gave me a second to think about it.
Yeah, I went on a bad streak where I would buy like a football jersey, and that player would end up leaving my team. Like I had a Shockey jersey, and he kind of pissed me off towards the end. Beckham I had, so I kind of like soured on buying jerseys of the guys that are actively playing. Now I just buy like the legends stuff, old time guys where there's really nothing they can do to screw you up anymore.
Unless you're O.J. Simpson.
Exactly. Georgia just proved how weak the SEC East is. These guys, they gave up 83 points or something all season long, but they were playing against teams like Florida and Tennessee and Kentucky and Vanderbilt and Missouri. Are any of those teams any good? I don't I think we found out the answer.
No, I think it's the answer. Mike, I don't know if I read this wrong. Do you mean to tell me the UCF basketball team beat Bethune-Cookman by 36 points and Isaiah Adams only played 16 minutes and scored 5 points? Do we have a problem here, you think?
Something's not smelling right with this Isaiah Adams start to the season, right? He had such a nice freshman year. We thought he'd come in this year and really take that next step. We haven't seen him much on the court, and with that transfer portal, I'll say it right now, he's going to be transferring.
Here we go. Breaking news.
He's not playing.
I don't have my breaking news sounder available right now, but hold on. Maybe I do. Breaking news. Mike reporting Darren Green Jr. in the portal.
Not Darren Green Jr., Isaiah Adams.
Breaking news, I mistook that. Isaiah Adams in the portal. Maybe Darren Green Jr. too. Who knows?
They're all up for grabs. Who knows?
That's fair.
It's the Wild West.
Well, if he doesn't sell enough of those hoodies, maybe Darren Green Jr. is on the way out too. Mike, I'm not going to lie to you. I was watching the Big 12 title game, and it was at the Jerry World Cowboy Stadium. I cannot wait for UCF to be in there in like 3 years. That's going to be fantastic.
It's a fun place to watch a game. I told you about that when we did the top 5 places in Dallas. That would be cool. Imagine 100,000 UCF fans at one spot.
Yeah, that's going to be bliss. I think I skipped you, by the way. You can go if you want.
We all made a big deal about the 2-for-1 deal we signed with Florida. Remember earlier in the year?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a 2-1-1. We got the extra game now, a 4th game, neutral site. Timo, man, that guy's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers.
There we go. Mike, I was out of town this weekend, had a soccer tournament, had to drive to Savannah. And then when I got in the car, my daughter and my wife decide to take the car out the night before and listen to Christmas music, Mike. And that got me thinking, top 5 Christmas songs. Are you ready for this?
Ooh.
I don't know if you're a fan. Top 5 Christmas songs. I've got the song titles down here. Number 5, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Judy Garland, Mike. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. That's the number 5 song. Number 5 Christmas song. Yeah. Agree?
It's not bad. It's a classic.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Number 4, White Christmas by the Drifters with Clyde McFadder. You familiar with White Christmas?
I know White Christmas, yes, but by the guy you said, I'm not sure. These Christmas songs, everybody puts out a Christmas album. Everybody's heard different versions of the same songs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I try to go back to the originals to give the OGs the credit. So I got White Christmas at number 4 there. Mike, number 3, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. Largely thought and incorrectly thought to be the number 1 Christmas song, but All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, number 3 on my list.
It's a good one. I think that's my wife's favorite, actually.
It's a lot of people's favorites, Mike. It's just incorrect. That's all. That's the only problem with that. Number 2, Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms. Who doesn't love a little Jingle Bell Rock? Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell. I mean, that's just every time. I don't care what you're doing. You're at the Christmas party. You're in the eggnog. You're in whatever. It gets you moving. Jingle Bell Rock, absolutely number 2.
All right. I give it to you. It's a good one. I probably have a completely different list.
You probably do.
Some of these are good.
And your list will be wrong. Number 1, Mike. The number 1 Christmas song is Last Christmas by Wham.
That is a good one.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. Last Christmas by Wham, the official number 1 Christmas song, Mike. That is top 5 Christmas songs.
You're missing a few.
I'm missing a lot. I mean, I can only have 5. What do you want me to do? What do you want on there?
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Oh, hippopotamus for Christmas? What?
Only a hippopotamus.
Unbelievable.
Please Come Home for Christmas.
That's a good one.
That's one of my favorites.
Pretty much the whole entire Home Alone soundtrack is an option. But Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1. You heard it here first.
Blue Christmas? Elvis?
Yeah. That's possible.
Yeah, we can make like 30. Top 30 list.
Oh, I didn't want to. It was top 5.
All right. All right. You know what's the only thing longer than the list of excuses the Gators are going to use in the next few weeks?
I don't.
Beer line at Hard Rock Stadium. Oh, my God. I went to the game yesterday, the Giants and the Dolphins. Dude, I went down at halftime, the very start of halftime, got in this line. I guess it wasn't just the beer tub. This was the actual liquor bar because my wife wanted a mixed drink, right? Started halftime. We didn't get our drinks until 10 minutes into the third quarter.
Wow.
I was in that line for 35 minutes. It didn't even look that long of a line.
Did you tell him who you were? Did you tell him you were UCF Mike?
I did not.
Oh, boy.
But how does it take you so long to get a couple drinks?
I
had to load up, man. I took 4 Heinekens back up for the fourth quarter.
I'm sure that you did, Mike. Am I the only one who thinks there's just a little bit of poetic justice in Jeff Lebby leaving to go to Oklahoma just as the brand is looking for new schools, Mike? Am I the only one who thinks that's a little bit of poetic justice?
No, I think it would be funnier if Dillon signs there and then he leaves. That to me would be justice.
That would be.
All right, speaking of the top 5 Gator excuses, here we go.
All right, what we got?
I got them.
Okay.
Number 5. This is our worst team in years. You already hear it.
Yep.
Oh, you guys beat the worst Gator team. We were 6-6. We barely even made the bowl. This is the worst team we've had in I don't remember how long. Get ready for that one.
Jason Beede just told us that. Yep, that's fair.
Number 4. We don't even have a coach. We have a new coach. He hasn't coached the game yet. What's this guy's name? Napier. I heard he's going to be calling plays in this game.
I don't think he's calling plays in this game. I think he's calling plays in the games. But I don't know. You could be right. I don't know.
I thought he was going to call in this game.
It's possible. Who knows? That's unprecedented, though. You never see the new coaches get involved.
Would he be breaking in like a new playbook? Would he be trying to work that in now in the practices and they're trying to work some stuff out? That'd be interesting. Number 3. All our best players are opting out for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys? I don't know if they've had any yet, but we've got a couple weeks till game time. How many guys do you think opt out of this game as a Gator?
Probably at least 5.
Wow, that'd be that would be nice, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing to play for. They had a bad season. They probably don't want to put any more bad film on tape if they're them. So probably at least 5 would be my guess. New staff coming in too. Do you really? I mean, you're not sticking around anyway. Do you really kind of, a lot of guys leaving? I don't know. I'll go 5.
Number 2, our quarterback situation. Anthony Richardson's not even playing. He's hurt. If he doesn't play, that's going to be their go-to excuse. Which, I mean, we could say the same thing until Gabriel got hurt and he transferred out. So I think that kind of washes the thing. The thing with their situation was they weren't even playing this kid the whole year when he was healthy, even though he was clearly better than Emory Jones.
That's true.
And the number 1 excuse we're going to hear, I've already heard it today.
Oh, wow.
You already know what it is. The motivation factor. They're not motivated to play little UCF, big old bad SEC team. I do not buy this for 1 second coming from the Gators this year. Big-time SEC teams, they want to use it all the time, but not with the talking we've done to these guys for the last 5 years. The amount of trash that's coming out of our mouth, directed directly at them. There's no way that they're taking this game lightly, not as a team, not as a fan base, no matter what they tell you. Don't let them get away with that excuse. I'm not buying it. The motivation, they're going to say, oh, this is UCF Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. No, they want to win this game just as much as we do. Don't let them pass that out as an excuse.
All right, Mike's top 5 list of Gator excuses. I'm glad you brought up the Gators, Mike. I was with my family this weekend at a soccer tournament in Savannah. We did not win a game, by the way. And Addison happened to be with me when I learned the news that we would be playing the Gators officially. So Addison is here. Say hello to everybody, Addison.
Hi.
She's back, and she's excited for another week. The energy in here, Mike, is just contagious. So Addison has a top 5 list of things my dad said when we found out we were playing the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl. So Addison took these notes while she was sitting in the backseat of the car while we were driving back from Savannah, Georgia. So Addison, the number 5 thing your father said when he learned that we were playing the Gators was?
Does that mean we have to hear about Tim Tebow?
I mean, the Tim Tebow stuff, every time we had to hear about Tebow. It sucks because we're in Jacksonville. Addison actually goes to Tim Tebow's old high school, so I'm done with the Tebow stuff.
Are there Tebow statues all over that high school too, Addison?
No, she has no idea who Tim Tebow is, only because I've said his
Really?
name. My son called him Tim Tebow earlier, if that helps you at all.
It's been that long since he's played, right?
It's been, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so
Addison was what? Like
she wasn't 1? She was 1, I think, when he played.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're old.
That's fair. Number 4 thing your father said when he found out about the game, Addison, was?
Can Dan Mullen come back for this one?
Just quick little Dan Mullen reunion tour. He was great on College Game Day, but maybe he can come back and coach us one.
That guy is such a clown. I always thought he sucked as a head coach. And,
yeah.
I guess they finally realized it too.
Yeah, they did. Addison, number 3 thing I said was?
Do big cats eat gators?
Do big cats eat gators, Mike? We're going to need Big Cat to play in this one.
There was a post
I saw.
I guess a week ago where he said he was very excited for the bowl season. I mean, who knows what to believe out of these kids anymore, but you would think that he's going to play.
Yeah.
But stay tuned.
Not to turn this into the Rob McGill show, but a big cat you'd think would be able to maul a gator, right?
Ooh, I'm sure there's a video of one of these confrontations out there somewhere on the internet.
Like a puma of some sort, right?
The fight's on land.
Yeah.
then you got to get on the edge. But if the Gator takes that thing into the water,
we got problems.
then you're in trouble.
Okay, stay out of the water, Big Cat. Big Cat, stay on land and actually just show up in Tampa. Addison, the number 2 thing your father said when he found out we were playing the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl was?
Will all the Gators fans be able to wear their jorts in December?
I don't know if it'll be chilly, Mike. I don't know what jorts in December looks like. Will it be chilly? I don't know the weather forecast yet, but not sure if they'll be able to rock the jorts in December.
It hasn't really cooled down much down here. I know Orlando's had a couple of cold nights.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's a lot closer to that. It's going to be a night game at least. It's possible if the cold front comes in, but if the weather stays the way it's been, it is jort wearing weather, baby.
Do you think they'll go sweatpants with jorts over the sweatpants?
I wouldn't put it past them.
Okay.
I would not put it past them.
Is that a good fashion look, Addison? Sweatpants with jorts over them?
No.
Okay. So we have fashion experts for advice from Addison. Addison, the number 1 thing I said when I found out that UCF is playing the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl was?
Tampa, sweet baby Jesus, that place is sewer.
I never liked Tampa, Mike. Tampa's always just a dirty, old, filthy city. I mean, not a lot going on. I'm sure there's nice parts of like Clearwater and whatnot, but sweet baby Jesus, that place is sewer.
Tampa's a dump.
It is a dump.
You're right. I don't like Tampa.
Yeah.
Ybor City is like the toilet of Tampa.
It is the toilet of Tampa.
Man. But here we are. We have to go there. So let's make the best of it, I guess. Just get in there, win the game, and get out before the stench really latches onto you.
Yeah. Addison, do you have anything else you want to say before you end your top 5 experience? She's shaking her head no. Addison is done for the week. Thanks for your service again, Addison. You may return back to your room and hopefully go to sleep soon because it's a school night, for crying out loud. Get some sleep. All right, that's Addison's official top 5. Mike, you got any more top 5? Got any more observations?
A couple more.
Oh, Mike's got more. Look at that, Addison. Mike has some more stuff. Who knew? What do you got?
Not top 5 list, but
Okay.
a couple more observations here.
All right.
Congratulations to Cincinnati.
Hey.
Now, don't embarrass us.
Mm-hmm.
They got a tough matchup with Alabama. I think if they would have had Michigan or even Georgia, I'd give them a good shot. But this Alabama team, even though it's not the strongest Alabama ever, but what they looked like on Saturday was a pretty strong football team.
Here's what we need, though. We just need the committee not to – whatever happens in this game, this does not mean that this will always happen. That's my only concern is as much as I'm not really pro-Cincinnati, if Alabama just whoops them 56-10, the narrative will always be, well, the group of 5 schools can't play with it. And this is example. See, they always get blown out. And while certainly we are going to the Big 12, and this may not be our problem in a couple of years, I don't want to attach every future result to this result here because, to your point, Alabama could play really well. We saw that happen. Everyone can have an off night. So I just don't want to attach like a continual result to this one game.
Yeah, they don't do it to Oklahoma, who gets blown out every year. For Notre Dame, that's been blown out a couple times. Florida State, in the first ever playoff game, I think lost by like 45 points. So they don't use it against those teams, but they will use it against Cincinnati and the rest of the G5 if it happens. So just be ready for it.
Like we learned today that ECU quarterback Holton Ahlers is coming back for yet another season. I think he was actually in that Tebow recruiting class. I don't know how many years he's actually been at ECU, but somehow there's got to be a loophole for Mikenzie to get one more year of eligibility, right?
I mean, he's just got to get on the phone with Kalubiali, find out what it takes. Mackenzie's been around now since 2016.
Yeah. Well, let me do the math here.
21.
So 16 is a freshman, 17 a sophomore, 18 a junior, 19, I guess he gets did he get a medical red shirt in 19? Does he take a regular red shirt in 20, but he doesn't need to? It's a COVID year. 21, but he went as a grad transfer. I think he has one more year left by that math. I don't know how all that comes together if he got all those red shirts approved, but he may have one more year left. That's all I'm saying.
Mackenzie Milton back in the transfer portal.
Hold on, we breaking news. I don't have the sounder up anymore, but maybe we're breaking news that Isaiah Adams out, Mackenzie Milton in.
That would be incredible. Right?
Interesting trade, by the way.
What a reversal of fortunes that would be. UCF Mike. Party bus.
Whoa.
Collision course.
What are we talking about here?
I've been in contact now with our friend Raphael down here at the Alumni Association in South Florida.
Okay.
They are in the works right now of organizing a party bus to go from here to Tampa.
Oh, boy.
For the Gasparilla Bowl.
Wow.
You know, if you don't want to spend on a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to drive yourself. You get on a nice little party bus. You hang out with me for 4 hours. We drink some Heinies, and we go to the game. You get right back on the bus. You ride back home. We're home that night. By the time Christmas Eve comes around, your family wakes up. You're already back in your bed.
Wow.
I think this is the way to go. I think it has not been finalized yet, but it should be. Maybe by the time this show is released.
Wow.
If you guys are interested in this,
oh boy,
you need to contact the Southeast Alumni Association. Contact them on Twitter. Give them a phone call. I will see if what other. I don't know if he gave me any other ways to contact them.
Mm-hmm.
He said message us or comment on our post. SoFla Nights.
SoFla Nights.
So,
wow.
It's looking at about like $45, and you get a round trip ticket from here, Fort Lauderdale. And if you live, there's a lot of people in the Palm Beach area, Broward County, Dade. We need, I think, about 50 people. Fill the bus. You get a ride to the game and back. Ticket not included. You get your own game ticket. I'm guessing they'll drop us off up there probably around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And you have a few 4 or 5 hours of tailgating time.
Mm-hmm.
You meet up with your friends up there. You go to the game. You ride back and listen to me snore for 4 hours because that's what's going to happen.
I was going to say, so you're talking like a 3 a.m. drop off back in SoFla, right?
Well, yeah. You figure the game starts at 7. It'll be over by 10:30.
Yeah,
by the time you get back on the bus and start rolling again, 11:30. About a 4-hour ride. Yeah, probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. You're getting back here at the drop-off area. I don't know about you. I'm able to sleep on planes. I'm able to sleep anywhere. So, especially after having gone to a football game, partying all game. When we went to the Peach Bowl, I did basically the same thing, but on a plane. We flew to the game that morning. We went to the game. It was a 12 o'clock game. The game was over by 3:30. We went to the airport, had a couple more drinks, watched a little bit of the playoff game, flew back. I was home that night by like 10 o'clock. Wow. And I slept the entire flight. I didn't even feel us take off, nothing. All I know is they nudged me. We landed. All right, let's go. Get off the plane. That's basically what the trip home is going to be like for me.
Okay. Well, I mean,
get on board. Get on the Gus bus.
There we go.
To the Gus Barilla.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a sweet deal. UCF Mike, Gus bus, party bus. Nothing can go wrong with that. So make sure you will look into that, Mike. My next observation seems very, very minor compared to what you just shared with me now. But I've never been so happy to see Isaiah Bowser running sprints before.
This would be huge if Bowser can play in this game. I mean, we are a completely different offense this year when he's healthy and when he's out. It really helps Mikey Keene out a lot, and not only just his running game, but his blocking ability, pick up blitzes. This would be a big key to this game if he's healthy. I am out of observations. Party bus, Gus bus, Fort Lauderdale to Tampa, round trip. Get on board.
Well, I see there's a Twitter poll just posted by at SoFla Nights asking, considering a party bus, are you interested? The options are yes, no, and prefer a local watch party, Mike. I'm going to say yes just to see what we got here. So far, the votes, 2 votes in, 50-50. 1 yes, and that was me, and 1 no. So stay tuned on that. Also, our friend Robert at 2 letters, 2 words, he's got a tweet out there. He's looking for some folks to split the cost of a 16-person suite with him. So if you go to Twitter at 2 letters, 2 words, there might be an option for you to get in there. Mike, I don't think you and I are going to be able to make that work, but if you want to get in there, 2 letters, 2 words, Robert has a suite working out for you. So maybe that's your option. New tickets were released. We now have sections 121 through 150 on the bottom row, on the bottom deck, and then looks like 202 to 218 on the upper deck. So 2 decks worth of UCF fans potentially. So make sure you get out there if you're going to be able to make this thing and buy yo tickets.
This is going to be a fun one, man. This is the matchup we've been waiting for. This is a lot more hype coming into this game than if we were to play like a South Carolina or Kentucky or one of these other SEC schools. Yeah, it'd be a fun game. But this, with the Gators, has a lot more juice to it. I'm ready, man. I am ready for this game.
All right. Well, Let's talk about your friends over at Paper and Lace Boutique, Mike. I know this is spreading like wildfire. Every time we do a live show, Paper and Lace Boutique comes up. We've heard a lot of talk about Paper and Lace Boutique. So why don't you, if you haven't heard about it, Mike, this is a good opportunity for you to get some info, Mike. Share it with the audience right about now, my friend.
That's right. We know the holiday season is upon us, and people are going to start getting engaged. People are going to be getting married. They're going to be setting the dates very soon.
Good point.
If you're going to do that and you need some wedding invitations, my sister Michelle makes the best wedding invitations in the world. Give her a call, 954-597-6426. Check out her website, paperandlaceboutique.com. See all the things she can do for you. Doesn't have to be a wedding. If you have a Sweet 16 party, you have a big anniversary party, you're having a big Gasparilla Bowl party, whatever you're going to do, you want to send out the invitations, you get your guests. They know that this is a big-time event when they see these invitations. Give her a call. Let her help you out. Let her customize it to exactly the way you need it to look.
Paperandlaceboutique.com, your one-stop shop for all the invitations, all the things you might need. It's wedding season, friends. So don't forget to look them up. Tell them UCF Mike sent you, and maybe Michelle will be nice to you. Coming up next, we're going to be nice to somebody who won the picks segment, I guess we'll call it, Mike. We have the official winner. I think we announced it last week, but it's official now. So don't move. We'll tell you who that is. If it's you, congratulations. If it's not, you may have a reprieve. Don't move.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajri, and in my spare time, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on.
All right, all season long, games have been played in the American Conference, and we have been running a season-long pool in the Pool Tracker app or website, wherever you call it, where many of you have been participating. We appreciate you for doing that. And, Mike, now the American Conference Championship game has been played. There's really only one game left. That is Army-Navy. But we're ready to call this thing and announce the winner, Mike. So without much fanfare, without much further ado, do you want to clue us in on the results of the Pool Tracker?
SJB 43, the clear winner of the Sons of UCF Pick'em this year with a record of 56-42. Finishing 3 games ahead of second place, J Blow, 38387. And then Brando Nitro finishing with 52-46 record. You know, the guys at the Banneret, they kind of tailed off there at the end, and when it counted, Elo dropped to 52-46. That boy Drew 51-47. You're right there, only a game behind, 50-48. And watch out, I was creeping back up there myself, 48-50. Right around 500. My picks here on the show, I went 19-20-1. So I have a chance with the Army-Navy game, I guess. I'm not going to pick this week. So I'll take Navy. I think plus 7.5. But right around a 500 season for me. But SJB43, congratulations. You are the winner. I have made contact with this guy. Or girl. I'm still not even sure if it's a guy or a girl.
Okay.
The name is Shannon.
Ooh. Man, just what you needed in your life. Yes. Unbelievable.
Not sure.
Unbelievable.
I did send a message on he or she's in the dungeon.
Okay.
And I congratulated him on the win. I haven't sent any of the prizes yet. I haven't even sent you his address. You have the hoodie.
I do.
This person does not live in Orlando, so I was going to get him some basketball tickets, but he can't make it to any games.
Okay.
He was willing to donate them. If I still wanted to give him the tickets, he was going to donate them to somebody else. I don't know. What do you think we should do? Should we give J Blow some basketball tickets? Should we give this guy some tickets to donate to who he wants? What's the move here?
I mean, we winners only, right? I mean, we go winners only. If he wants to donate them, he can donate them. If you got them laying around, I mean, why not?
Well, I don't have them. I would have to buy them still.
Oh, there you go.
But all right, we'll figure it out.
All right.
He's going to get his prizes. He's going to get
or
the hat.
she.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Shannon.
He or she. Not sure yet.
Okay.
But,
do we know if he or she listens to the show? Were they aware that they were winning this thing the entire time?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. What did you find out exactly on this one, Mike?
How else would he have, I guess since I posted it in the dungeon, maybe he just joined because he saw a pick'em. But I would think he listens to the show. I would hope he listens to the show. He made his picks, he or she made the picks every week. So they were following along online at least. But you know who did not do well in this thing? Our friend Trace Trelko.
Bum, bum, bum.
Who weeks ago, when he is the Cows of 2007 when they were number 2 for a week. Remember there was a week where he was beating me by like 2, and he was puffing his chest on the live show. Oh boy, Mike! Oh, I got a lead on you here. And here he goes. He finished the season 10 games under 500, 44 and 54. Just a disgraceful performance. But he has a chance to make up for it, right? Because what are we doing? The bowl. Right? We're doing a bowl.
Yeah. We'll say a little bowl pick'em, ESPN.com. I put it on our Twitter feed earlier today. So if you go to Sons of UCF on Twitter, you'll see the link there. The password is Go Knights 2 in honor of Otis Anderson. And you can get in there. And this is straight pick'em. This is no spread because those spreads can change. Things can happen as the weeks go on. I don't want people to have to keep going in like every week or every day and updating their picks. My hope of this thing was just you can go in there, pick one time, and set it and forget it. So there's no spread involved, and there's none of that confidence stuff where you got to like rank what you think is going to happen the most. It's just straight up pick 'em. You get 10 points for every game you get right, and whoever wins that one, like maybe we have another prize coming out. We'll have to go into the Sons UCF prize closet and see what else we got laying around in there. But maybe we'll have a prize for the bowl pick 'em. That's always a fun time.
I do believe I have an extra hat. I was looking for the SJB to send his hat. I think I saw 3 hats remaining. I'm not sure if I promised somebody else one for something. But he's getting one, or she.
Yeah.
SJB43 is getting one.
Good
Shannon.
call. Good catch.
And I guess we can give the winner of this bowl pick'em, maybe we can get a hat. What else we got?
I got
we got
something.
A bunch of flyers. We got like 500 flyers left.
Yeah, I got something. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, so I don't want to announce it just yet. I got something that I could potentially throw in there, so we'll see if I want to do that. Once I get it, I'll know more. But either way, it's fun. There's no entry fee or anything like that. It doesn't cost you any money. Just get in there, have a little fun. I saw Rain Man. I think he won the last time we did this. He was already on Twitter this morning saying basically he's ready to go back to back. We took last year off, so I think this would essentially be back to back for him. So we'll see who can get in there. Maybe Trace can redeem himself. I don't know. But it's always a lot of fun to do these things. It's always cool to have a little competition, and we're excited if anybody wants to join us. So far, I think the feedback's been pretty good, Mike. So if you're interested, get in there. It's on our Twitter account at Sons UCF.
Yeah, this is always good for bragging rights anyway, right? That's what we use it on the show for. Nobody beat me last year in the regular picks, but this year we do have somebody that beat me.
A bunch of somebody's. It's a bunch of one-armed men.
So, who was the guy that won this one the first time that he was ready for this one?
I think his name was Rain Man.
Rain Man? You sure?
Yeah. I have to look it up on Twitter. Not here. I'm not on that screen anymore. Yeah, I think that was his name. Just trust me on that.
All right. Well, he's back, and he's talking trash just like me. So let's see if you can knock him off the top spot. Or maybe SJB43 takes this one, too, and has bragging rights for the whole year. Maybe Trace actually picks a couple winners. There's so many bowl games to pick from. What are there, 43 games now?
Yeah.
42, 43?
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. Rain Man is not correct. It is actually Tan the Man. It's Tan the Man, 2 N's and an underscore at the end of that thing. Tan the Man is ready to go back to back. Although I don't think we did this last year. So either way, he's the incumbent winner right now.
All right, Tan the Man. That did sound more familiar. I don't know where you got Rain Man from.
I mean, you know where I got it from, of course. But yeah, so get in there if you're interested. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun if you wanna play, hang out with us. Bragging rights, whatever you need. If you wanna say you beat us in something. I mean, obviously Mike is pretty humble about these things. So we've already got 8 people in there right so far. I'm looking at it right now, Mike. Let me see who we got in there. I see you in there. Randy Polito, make love to me, Randy. Brian Peterson, Dillon Kruger. I don't see SJB in there so far.
All right, it's still early. We just created this thing
an
hour or two ago. So,
but we had one this week. I believe we both got Cincy, Houston. I went Cincy. You went Cincy as well. We both won that one, I believe. Yep.
And there is still one more game left to pick. So if you want to finish with bragging rights over one of your buddies, or if you want to beat me, like Raphael, the guy that's running the Alumni Association down here, me and him are tied right now, 48 and 50. maybe a little bet here. If I beat him, my party bus is free. How's that?
So right now, you need that vote to go in your favor. 50-50 shot you're even getting on that party bus. You might want to influence him on that poll if I were you. That's all I'm saying.
All right. And then I have no chance of catching you. You got a 2-game lead on me. So.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was a good run.
It was a great run. Well, I lost it.
You can catch Stat Boy Drew, though.
Ooh.
Go get him.
Okay.
Represent the Suns.
You're going Navy, right? And that's your pick?
Well, I mean, if I tell you, I did say that already. But
yeah, I was just more confirming.
I can't catch you anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the secrecy.
I'll go. Yeah, I already clicked it on Navy, even though the spread's not entered on the website.
Okay.
According to other websites I've seen, the spread is about 7.5.
All right, Navy it is, Mike. Let's do a quick basketball minute here. While we were engrossed in the football stuff, obviously UCF took a tough loss at Auburn. They fought for a little bit. Auburn just had too much. Shot the ball well. That home court advantage was too much for UCF. Dropped their second in a row. Went to 4-2 at that point, and then we welcomed Bethune-Cookman into Addition Financial on Sunday, Mike, and came out with a 36-point victory. 81-45 was the final score. Leading scores for UCF: Darren Green Jr. had 18, Ty Freeman had 12, Brandon Mahan had 11, and C.J. Walker had 10. UCF now improves to 5-2, and I believe their next contest is against North Carolina A&T, if I have that right, coming up here midweek. So maybe a couple of games for UCF to get back, but a 5-2 victory, a pretty easy, handy victory over Bethune-Cookman.
That's right. I think our net ranking came out, and if I'm not wrong, I think we're number 59 right now, which is okay. It's not bad. It's respectable.
That's a tournament team.
It'd be right? Yeah, you got to be in the top 65, 68, I guess?
Yep.
To be in there, so good for now. And we still need to pick up a big win somewhere down the line. The Miami win looked okay at the time. I don't know how great Miami is this year. We had a good shot against Oklahoma. The Auburn game, we were hanging in there for a while. They just started overpowering us down low late in the game, and then they couldn't miss a shot, and we couldn't hit a shot. So that game got away from us late. But there will be more opportunities coming up. We do have a game against Temple, the one conference game mixed into the non-conference schedule early in the year. That's coming up soon.
Yep.
And then the Florida State game down here and the Michigan game. We got to start picking up some more resume builders here before we get into conference play. The conference looks like it's got some pretty tough teams in it too.
Yeah, the next 3 games for UCF: Saturday the 11th at home, North Carolina A&T, 2 p.m. tip. Then the following Wednesday, the 15th, away at Temple, which is a conference game, and then that Saturday, neutral in South Florida, the whatever they call that arena down there in Sunrise now, Mike, playing Florida State. So 3 in a row, 2 of them maybe you think are winnable: North Carolina A&T and Temple. Obviously, one being a conference game. So we'll see how UCF fares. We talked about it in Observations. Isaiah Adams continues to have a little bit of struggle, Mike, but Ty Freeman, again, played really well off the bench, hit 4 free throws at 12 points, made all of his shots from at least 2-point range, had a couple of rebounds in there as well. Darren Green Jr. continues to shoot the ball well, 50% from 3. If he's going to do that, that's fantastic, Mike. And the stat I love the most, UCF, 16 of 18 from the free throw line. That's 88% if you're scoring at home. Jameel Reynolds and Mbaka Jong are the only ones to miss a free throw. So 88% on free throws. That's going to win you a bunch of games, Mike, if they can keep that up.
Yeah, that's going to be huge getting into conference play. Close games down the stretch. If you can hit your free throws, that's a big plus. We're going to need to continue that all year. Hopefully we're not saying, oh, man, we shot the free throws so well in the non-conference early in the year. What happened? They can keep that up all year. I don't even know if it's reasonable to think that we're going to shoot that well all year. We're 88% from the line. Is that what you said?
Against Bethune, yeah. Yep.
But for the season as well, we've been shooting pretty high
percentage. Let me check the season number for hold
on. It's been very impressive. That's something we struggled with for a few years around here. So to see that take up is really nice, especially with some guys that you wouldn't think are great free throw shooters, but have done a pretty nice job.
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked about in our preseason preview is we did not shoot the ball well free throw wise, and obviously that's turned around on the year. UCF is shooting 81% from the line. So that's third best in the nation right now.
Wow, that's pretty impressive stuff. So that's good. Torchy would be happy with that. Those are 3 points. You got to take them when they give them to you.
Yeah, I mean that's why they're called free throws. Turnovers are still a little high, 14.3. You'd like that number to come down a little bit. Like we mentioned, Isaiah Adams struggling a little bit. You saw Jamil Reynolds get some run against Bethune-Cookman. He had some productive minutes. Brandon Mahan seems to be breaking out of the slump just a little bit. He shot the ball a little bit better against Bethune. Obviously, we're going to need him to heat up as the season goes on. It does look like Mike Johnny has at least settled on a rotation. Last year, we had this whole deal where we weren't sure who was going to start every game, and it seemed like a new starting lineup every game was coming out. It seems like he's at least settled on a rotation, on a lineup. Isaiah Adams appears to be now firmly on the bench. Seems like his usual starters are going to be Darren Green, Darius Perry, C.J. Walker, Brandon Mahan, and Bakajong. So that's going to be the 5 at least. And maybe that continuity will help guys get into the roles a little bit off the bench. But again, if Isaiah Adams can get things going, that would really help out UCF.
Yep. And now these guys are getting more and more experience playing with each other. That's good. As long as everybody stays healthy, I think we're going to be in for a nice season.
Well, again, check it out. Wednesday edition financial. That's an ESP. I'm sorry, Saturday edition financial. ESPN Plus for North Carolina A&T. Hopefully, we can keep the winning streak going. Mike, coming up next, we'll keep a streak going of cows of the week. We've done it every show, I think. So why stop now? Let's pause. We'll do cows. Don't move.
Okay, sons of UCF, both of you, you are the ball.
All right, I'm really excited about this cow of the week because Mike and I worked out a deal here in the commercial break. Again, behind the scenes, typically we decide Mike's cow of the week right as I hit the record button. And this one is a good one, Mike. It made me laugh all week long, and it's the gift that keeps on giving, Mike. Cow of the week, if you're new to the show, this is something that made us laugh, something that was kind of idiotic, stupid, whatever. And we've done this each week, Mike. So you get to lead off on your cow of the week.
The new head football coach at Louisiana State University, Mr. Brian Kelly, who's got now a Southern accent to him. The guy is from Massachusetts, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
And he's been coaching over at Notre Dame. We've heard him speak a million times. He's given his speech. Well, he just had his introductory speech during halftime of a basketball game at LSU. And all of a sudden, he's got a Southern twang he's got a thick Southern accent with him and his family.
My family.
Coming down here to coach the Tigers. And I thought it was pretty funny that he started changing the way he talked to this. I think is going to be a disaster for LSU, right? He's already talking about winning all his games. The last 3 head coaches they've had there have won national championships, I believe, right? Saban,
Les Miles, Orgeron.
Les Miles, and Orgeron. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy if he doesn't win a national championship in the next 3-4 years. He's going to be feeling the hot seat. But I think he gets paid no matter what. So I mean, good for him. But the whole accent chameleon thing that didn't go over too well on the internet. So maybe he can if he wins, that'll clear his name for everything. But right now, he looks like a jackass.
Yeah, he does, and he's it's funny. Notre Dame obviously elevated Marcus Freeman, the former Cincinnati defensive coordinator. He went to Notre Dame. This is his first year. He's now their head coach. They tried to bring in Tommy Rees as offensive coordinator. He said, no, thanks, I'll stay here. He tried to bring in the strength coach. He said, no, thanks, I'll stay here. So Brian Kelly dropped a plane off at the airport and said, hey, all my assistants hop in. And nobody hopped in, Mike. So maybe that Brian Kelly tenure at Notre Dame wasn't as well thought of as maybe it could have been. People seem to love the Marcus Freeman hire. That seems to be getting a lot of good publicity. He seems like a really good coach. I'm actually glad we don't have to deal with him anymore because he was a pretty darn good coach.
Yeah, this is the opposite of what happened with Scott Frost when he left and took his entire staff with him. Nobody's following this guy. And, Marcus Freeman, has done a good job. He was with Cincinnati, defensive coordinator. Now he's over here, and good for him. It's a good spot for him. I think he'll do well. But Brian Kelly, I don't know what he's going to do now. He's got to start working on that accent. Maybe make it a little thicker. Maybe in 5 years from now, by the time he's done coaching there, his accent will be even thicker than what it is now. And he'll speak like one of those Cajun guys. You won't even understand what word he says. The coach from Waterboy, or Ogeron, actually.
I was gonna say they just had that. they literally just had that guy, and now he doesn't have it. So yeah, that feels like of all the coaching hires that have been made, that feels like the one that maybe isn't the best fit. I mean, I guess you can argue Lincoln Riley to USC, Brent Venables at Oklahoma doesn't seem like he's necessarily the most exciting guy in the world. But I guess we'll see. But that accent was funny. I applaud him maybe for at least trying something, but obviously that didn't work out.
Good luck to him and his family.
I'm here to be the Tigers. I thought the Tigers and the family were the two words that definitely gave away that he has no business using that mic. I'm gonna go with my and I feel weird doing this one just because I don't necessarily care that much about this, but I'm gonna go Cal of the Week to the University of Miami for what they did to poor Manny Diaz and all of Manny Diaz's assistant coaches. Everybody knew Manny was getting fired weeks ago. They just didn't bother to tell Manny and all those coaches. And think about those coaches now, Mike. And Manny's going to be fine. He's going to get a buyout. But you think about the special teams coordinator and the D-line coach. These guys all got canned. All these other jobs have been getting filled. And now are they going to be able to find some place? Where are they going to land at? They don't have guaranteed contracts. The way Miami handled this whole thing was just a complete crapshoot because obviously they wanted Mario Cristobal. He essentially decided on Monday he was going to take their contract, but they'd been courting him for weeks and weeks and weeks. And as much as I'm not necessarily in love with Manny Diaz or anything, I'm not in love with Miami. I really feel bad for those poor assistant coaches because they've just been walking around and having no clue if they were staying or going. And the way Miami handled this whole thing was just bizarre. So I'm going to go Cal of the Week for the way all those guys got handled and treated in Miami in the Manny Diaz to Mario Cristobal transfer of power.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team hire somebody before getting rid of the first guy.
I don't think so. Yeah, I really don't.
This is new. And only Miami could pull something off like this. Cristobal may end up being a good hire for them. I thought he was pretty decent when he was down at FIU, and he's done a pretty good job over in Oregon, even though they got blown out twice by Utah in the last couple of months here. But he's supposed to be a pretty good recruiter. Hopefully, I think in the state of Florida, a week ago, I would have told you we had the best head coach by far in the state of Florida. You're talking about Norville of Florida State, this new guy, Napier, I don't know much about him at Florida. Manny Diaz in Miami, and talking about us with Gus. I think Gus was the clear best recruiter, most experienced coach. Now, Cristobal brings some credibility down here to Miami, and he can recruit that area. That's a little tougher, I think, for us. But I still think we got the edge up on Florida and Florida State, and obviously the Cows.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Cristobal does down there in Miami. It could get interesting. I see a future scandal in the works there because not maybe because of Cristobal, but just the Miami boosters and all the people that are running things down there. We know that they're not scared to get a little dirty with some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel, Mario's going to recruit. That's obviously always been the thing that he's done really well. So he's going to make some inroads on recruiting, probably a little bit more than Manny Diaz. But here's the thing. If they can't win on the field, no one's going to really care. So he's going to have to be able to get some better consistency from a winning standpoint to prove that out. I think he's going to go in there. He's going to win the first couple of classes, but if they can't put results on the field, that thing's going to be over in a hurry. But not poor Manny Diaz. He's going to be fine, but really it's the assistant coaches and the way Miami handled this thing. And they hired Mario Cristobal, and then they hired the AD, which I don't understand. Like, typically, I thought that went the other way around. I thought you hired the AD who hired the coach. I guess I assume that they think that Dan Radakovich and Mario can work together, but I guess we'll figure that out pretty quickly.
Yeah, usually the AD is who hires the head coach. So
yeah,
they do things a little bit backwards there in Miami. It's par for the course down here.
Yeah.
Let's see how it works out for them. It could be a good thing for them, or it could be a complete disaster. So let's hope for disaster. You know, they've been recruiting good classes anyway. Miami's always in the top 20 recruiting, right?
Yeah.
It hasn't really translated to them on the field, so let's see what Mario can do.
Well, we'll see what Mario can do, and we'll see what we can do, Mike. Thursday night, me, you, Trace Trelko, we hook this thing back up at 8 p.m. on our live edition. That's on Facebook. That's on Twitter. That's on YouTube. You can follow us at Sons of UCF on social media, or go to our website, TwoNatesMedia.com, to learn about all that, Mike. So that's Thursday live show. It's always a good time. Programming note, the bowl game, Mike, is a Thursday, so we may have to move the live show up to a Wednesday in a couple weeks. And the following week, the Michigan basketball game is a Thursday, so we may have to move the live show again that following week. So stay tuned. Schedule moves around a little bit here with bowl season. It's holiday time. We'll keep you all posted here on the Sons of UCF on our schedule. But this Thursday, 8 p.m. Don't miss it, Mike. It's always a fun time. I have no clue who's going to be on this week.
Nope, neither do I. But I'm sure Trace has a nice list of guests ready to go. It was a touching show last week.
It was.
It was a tough one to do.
Yeah.
Very, very tough to do the Otis tribute. We got some good feedback on it. People appreciated it. Hate that we had to do that show, but this week we are back to talking about stuff going on here. We got the bowl news and all that stuff, so a little more upbeat show probably this week.
So make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow all of us on social media. Subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast to all your friends. If you know a UCF person out there and they don't listen to the show, you've got to pull them aside and have a really serious conversation with them about what they're missing out on. More and more each day, I'm seeing that people are like, oh, I just found you guys recently, and I want to be like, where the hell have you been? So find a friend. Don't leave a fellow UCF friend behind. Let them know about the show so they can follow us and enjoy the same entertainment that you enjoy as well. Again, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll be back next week for a regular pod. We'll start having some more guests coming up soon. We'll get some more player interviews working after the football season comes to an end. So a lot of fun stuff around here. So everybody have a fantastic week. Mike and I will talk to you with Trace on Thursday. Until then, everybody, go Knights.
Charge on.